Hey, how's it going? So today, I'm not talking about anything that I've been watching. Oh, well, I might. It might come into play. But anyway, I'm actually just wanted to, I guess, grouse. Mainly, oh God, somebody's calling. I have an answering machine. Anyway, and one of the things that I want to grouse about is advertising. I watch a lot of YouTube. Well, I watch a lot of stuff on whatever available form I can find it. But really, what I have is my laptop and my television and my phone. And I have a couple of streaming services that I get. And I have a couple of premium network. Like I have HBO and Showtime. And so the streaming services are generally good for not having advertising. Although I have to say, I'm trying to watch Mr. Mercedes right now, and there comes the there comes the watching stuff. But the only comment I have to make about it at this point is that I'm enjoying it. I'm only, I think, 4 episodes into the first season. But it comes back to advertising again, because sometimes with Peacock it'll say, okay, well, you just have to watch this one little commercial block, and they're really not long in comparison to like broadcast television commercial over broadcasting. But it happens often with the shit. Like, that's usually in the case of a film, film. I can't decide what I want to call a movie. Long play watching thing. And there are a lot of commercials. I mean, it's like every 3 minutes it feels like. Maybe 4, maybe every 5. I don't know, but what it definitely is too long. Or too many. It's the actual interval where you're seeing the content, the show that's not an advertisement, is not long enough. You just get a chance to get absorbed, to figure out, if you're me, like, oh, who is this person I'm looking at? I've seen them in what? How many things? And when it's me, I'm also Googling and looking at IMDb and just satisfying my curiosity about whoever I'm watching. Because if I decide to cover it in my little review portion of my channel, it's good to have those things, in mind. It adds to the whole picture. But the advertising, it's just too many too often. And on YouTube, it's particularly annoying, because the same thing happens. You'll just get absorbed. You'll just be getting into it, and you're just like, oh, this is good. And then you got to hear about the market with the guy where he thinks he's picking up the tea, but he picks up something else. And then, I'm disgusted by that, because I did actually, it feels like a Me Too thing. Like, it just goes on for so long, and sometimes you don't get the option of shutting them off. But this commercial with the tea guy is like a nutritional marketplace, I guess, or a market. They're selling stuff. Like, if you know the commercial I'm talking about, then you know the guy that I'm referring to about the tea. So if you go ahead and look at the place that he's advertising, you'll see that, yes, they have a lot of stuff, and there's so much like health stuff out there to be consumed. There's no way that I can keep track of what all of it is. So I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, there's a lot of stuff I've never even heard of on there, and that's fine. I don't mind like looking into stuff and researching and all of that. But my problem, and yes, of course I have one with it, was that shit's like super expensive. And that was before we had this deal with COVID-19, and I mean, in a lot of ways, that's added expenses to our existence that many of us maybe didn't particularly want to take on, you know? You're having to order more things, and, well, the spending just builds up, and not all of us can do it. So, it wasn't a sight for me. But the reason why I bring that up is because another thing you'll see a lot on YouTube is car commercials. You know, or just, there's all these things for sale, and it's like, personally, most of them are things that I have no interest in and that I wouldn't buy, including cars, because I can't afford a car to buy one. I can't afford a used one. I can't afford an old one, because you have to insure it. You have to pay all these fees. You have to keep it maintained. You have to do air emissions changes to your, you know, engine and your exhaust deal, and it's just like, it's a lot. And, you know, it's, in a way, because of where I live, it's kind of a bummer, because the transportation is not the greatest here, and the reason for that is that most people here have a car. There's students that use the bus, and there's, you know, just general public, I guess, use the bus. But coming from Los Angeles and having lived there and in San Francisco, and I've lived in Houston, and those are all big places, and so they have very big transportation systems. They go far and wide. They don't stop running when the sidewalks roll up at 6 o'clock like they do here. And also, you can take a bus out of the town you live in. Now, I don't know if this is still the case, because, you know, not being from here and not having much money, I mean, it doesn't add up to me needing to go places very often. And even if I did have money, unless you want to eat fast food or go to a bar or, you know, a store to consume, there's not really that much to do here that I'm aware of. I don't live in a very big town, and I'm fine with it. I like it. The energy here is calmer. It's less hectic. I've gone years without hearing sirens all night. I have heard the occasional gunshot, but it's been on like New Year's Eve or the 4th of July. And the only reason I know it's a gunshot is because I grew up in LA and lived in San Francisco and Seattle. You just get to know. I mean, there have been occasions where I've been around guns that were fired, and but not often enough to be totally familiar. But from a distance, you can tell. I can tell. I don't know about anybody else, but often I'll say you when I mean me. So let me be clear that I mean me here. But there's not, like, in my case, a lot of money to be spent on really anything as a general rule. And that's fine. I have found that as I've gotten older, that I often will want something and will lust after it. Not so much anymore since I've gotten older. That was really a kid thing, or a being in your early adulthood thing, where you just want some object or article of clothing, or want to go someplace. You know, there's just things that you just really, really want. And what I found was that I didn't have the money to, like, I wasn't making a lot of disposable income when I was working. And so you just learn to wait, is what I'm getting at. And what I found is I eventually wound up with the thing, you know, if I still even wanted it after enough time had passed, because as with anything, the glamour wears off, you know. So things like that. These days, what I want are things I need, and generally I will makeshift my way through whatever it is I need. You know, you make do. You find a way, and you learn that expensive things with big name labels that have a lot of like social appearance clout, well, that don't really count for much, you know. And unless you're somewhere where people actually know what the thing is, the expensive bitchin' thing is, if they don't know what it is, then you're just there with this dumb thing you spent a bunch of money on. And I don't know. I mean, if it's important to you to have people know that you're wearing a certain label, that was never important to me. So I still I just kind of laugh at it, because that does not, the thing is not you. You are not the thing. You didn't design it, you didn't make it, you just bought it or got it. You know, it's not really the reflection upon you as a result of you having this object is not worth much, in my opinion. But you know, very few people are paying attention to me, in my opinion, and that's okay too, you know. Because I have been in a position where I got a lot more attention from people. And well, let me put it this way: if you're familiar with Pearl Jam and you know who Eddie Vedder is, you may be aware that very early on in their illustrious career, he was kind of bitching and complaining about being famous. And I thought, wow, how ungrateful of you. But subsequently, I learned, and this was something I used to want when I was still able to play an instrument and do my music. I wanted to be famous and have money. Also, not worth much if nobody knows who the heck you are. But you learn to prioritize things when you get older. And, oh, that's going to be way too much onion. Oh, well, I'll just save it for later. I'm making egg salad. Woo, big, exciting. But anyway, the things that you kind of deem to be important, it seems like pretty exclusively as a young person. If you gain wisdom as you age, you start to realize, oh, that shit ain't important at all. So yeah, the ads. I see them and I think, you're showing me stuff way too often. Like, I know that Chevy or whoever, you know, what is this? Subaru has a lot of car commercials, and there's like some luxury ones, like Mercedes has been showing ones pretty often. And I don't know, I'm sure like pretty soon I'm going to start getting hammered with electric Hummer ads, which electric car is great, but again, with all the expense, certainly not something I'm going to be investing in. I usually have a ride to wherever I go, so it's fine. I don't. Hold on, the garage door. Nope, the refrigerator door got away from me. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry, Jeopardy, I had to borrow it. I haven't written my own interlude music. But it just is, it feels abusive at this point, because the other thing is I tried to find some easily displayable stats to put up and show you about all of the recent evicted people, the unhoused, the newly unhoused, which you heard a lot about the evictions and the end of the moratorium to save people from getting evicted, but all I could really find were articles which did have the stats, but I don't have like the technology to just show that stuff and not post the article, which is why I also didn't just post online in any of my social media sites, because people they have a short attention, and I learned this short attention span, and I learned this in music too, and it worked. Uh, it worked. It was my music, especially early on, was primarily of a punk rock format. So, especially at the beginning, if you were to come out with like a power ballad, oh my God, you were a hippie, and everybody would hate you, and you were doing it wrong, and you should die. You know, it was really like we had a lot of rules. Some of us were more uptight about it than others. So, you know, what I'm saying is that all of this stuff is coming at you, and aren't people like really hurting right now? I mean, don't you hear that a lot? People are really hurting right now. People are struggling to feed their children. So why are we being hammered with commercials about stuff that most of us either are not in the market for or just can't do it? You know, it's like and the dream you can't achieve. And it's, I don't know, I mean, I feel like it's abusive. Like, why are you people hammering us to buy this stuff? It's just, you know, it's in bad taste, really, in my opinion, to keep bringing this shit up when, you know, a lot of us, you know, as a general rule, can't do it without a struggle. And now, you know, if you're more concerned about feeding yourself or your kids or your pet, and you've been made homeless, you know, how are you going to get a job without an address? How are you going to vote without an address? Well, I'm sure that was deliberate. I mean, it seems like our politicians that are sort of ruling right now and deciding like what can and can't happen to aid the people in this country, it's insane. Like I'm not sure like what the attraction is to vote for these people that are and keep them in office that are destroying your life. And it's, if it's not touching you, it's touching somebody you know, or if it hasn't yet, it will. It's like them not dealing with this virus properly and, you know, getting rid of helpful instruction to be able to keep the country and the economy on track while, you know, the population is kind of being decimated. And I don't mean in the sense that they're dead, but, you know, if it's not the employees that are sick, it's the business owners that are sick. You know, it's the illness is affecting people, you know, and it's affecting the economy, which I wish we didn't give so much importance to. It's irritating because really it's not more important that a building in a protest over people being summarily executed by our so-called force of protect and serve people. It seems like those guys just want to go in there and get like all of their aggressions out on people, and that's not cool. And that's all really that's a lot of that's what Black Lives Matter is about. It's not about all this violent stuff that they try to, that politicians try to put on them that isn't true. It's more about, please stop killing us. I don't know why that's so hard to understand, but evidently it is. It's just annoying. Like, we can do better, people. Like, seriously. But, you know, if we really are having all those problems, I think it's pretty well established, like, all of the motor companies, you know. In fact, all of the big corporations selling us stuff. High-ticket items. Oh, I don't want that in there yet. High-ticket value. High-value items, you know, or even small ones. Can you just have a little compassion, advertisers, that maybe it's kind of hurtful for you to be constantly showing us this crap that we can't access, you know, now maybe at all, and at other times not easily. Because I think there's a whole bunch more of us not rich people out there, not even middle class. Whatever that is, by the way, because is that even still a thing that exists, the middle class? I was questioning that before the disease even happened. But, I don't know. I guess really my main point is quit trying to shove that down our throats. Like, we know you're out there. We know the stuff you sell. Like, and advertisers, I know that this is somebody's job a lot of times. It's not just the people that own the companies. But it's like the people that own the companies are clueless to the plight of the consumer, and also the people that they employ to have their stuff out there and that keep your machine running, Like Amazon, you wouldn't be doing so well if you didn't have people in there running the place. And that's true of any corporation. McDonald's, auto companies, meat packers, chicken plants, whatever, chicken farms, pork farms, whatever the thing is. Especially the people that, the president has been on a campaign to run out of the country, and that would be your immigrants that are willing to go out into the field and get paid badly and have no, I don't think mistaken that they don't get a medical plan. They might get like a messed up old barracks to pack like their family and themselves into so they can sleep overnight, so they can go pick the food or harvest it, collect it, tend it, whatever they have them doing. My point is, none of this is going to get done without the aid of all these people. And what's happening right now in my eye is that the government is not doing a damn thing really to slow the death rate that they're creating by not having dealt with this C-19 situation like people with a brain. It's like shoot yourself in the foot and then shoot somebody else in the face seems to be the plan. It's like it's all hurting. If some of us are getting hurt, all of us are getting hurt, okay? I don't know why that's not, clear to these people. There's not going to be an inexhaustible supply of workers. Anyway, the way you people are running things right now, you seem bound and determined to have a general strike happen in this country. I don't really know how we avoid it. You don't want to let people have rights. You don't want to let people have, access to housing, good housing, good education. Just so mean, so selfish, and so unfeeling. Unless it's about you and yours. And, I've been sort of complaining, I guess, about this attitude that the upper classes seem to have where, well, I got mine, so screw you. That creates the situation that we have now of inequality. And what you will find if you lose all of your beautiful wealth and useless high-end, designer label crap is your ass can be poor the same way all the other poor people can, and all it takes is for some kind of financial misfortune, and it could create a domino effect, a cascade of misfortune for someone, because that's sure the way it happens with not rich people. So I don't know. what they think they're doing. But, keep it up. You turn it into shit for some of us. It's like water. It's going to leak through all of the cracks, and it's corrosive, and it's going to get in everything, and it's going to leave a stink, and it's one of those stinks that's hard to get off, and it's going to be around forever. And everyone's going to remember, the treatment that they had to endure under these structures that we've created in this society based on this capitalism ideal that has become completely carnivorous. We're eating ourselves alive, and we're so bound to the idea of how are we going to pay for it, or we got to do it this way, and that we're fossilized, we can't change, we could never do that. And you're acting like you know what the change is gonna be. We don't know. We don't know until it happens, But be sure and not want to change anything and stay stuck in this horrible past it's becoming like an abscess in reality now. The past is just like the poop through the cracks I was just talking about. It just extended further into our political limbic system, and it's not good. We're ill. Laws are crappy. Judges are in there in the most obvious case ever right now with this Amy Barrett person. She's got a very decidedly biased background. I mean, you can see it. They're trying to erase it. They're trying not to have people talk about it. And by they, I mean the current administration, because they think if you can't see it, you don't know it's there. But it was there, and it will always be there. We're not like dogs where you throw up a blanket where the person used to be and then hide and then drop the blanket and the person is gone. Ooh, no. We can think a little further past that. I feel like people are getting to the point where, misery has been known to cause a general strike in other countries in the past. In fact, I think we've had a couple of instances of it here too. Not to the degree of, say, of France, where they know their value. They know if you take away the people power, everything grinds to a halt. Well, we need to, think that way, I think, more, and just to serve ourselves, because they certainly are not doing that. And by they, I mean the people that I was talking about, and that would be corporate entities, wealthy people that have certain ideas, and if you have ideas, that's great. Everyone can have their opinion. The problem is when you try to enforce your opinion upon other people who especially don't happen to share that opinion with you. I started to say, I think that we're all waking up gradually to these failings and inequalities in our system, and they need to be repaired. We don't want to live in the type of country that our president has described as a shithole, but he seems to be doing his damnedest to make one. And I certainly have a lot of opinions about what those motivations are, and who might also, along with him and outside of him, have a lot to do with forming those opinions. But part of that, I'm not going to go into all of it, but part of it, I believe, involves people getting paid to do things. And just like if people don't know who the hell Gucci is, or what the hell Coach is, if they don't know, if these people are not still getting paid, to do or not do the things they have done or have not been doing that they should do, that they know they should do, that they have done in the past, that has been right before and it's still right. They're just they're not going to still keep doing it. In fact, if they get found out, and I think a lot of them will be, because, well, it's like that pendulum swing. You know, things are going to go so bad and so far one way, and then next thing you know, revolutions happen, people rise up, general strikes happen. I think people are waking up that these principles that we're so stuck on, that we get crammed down our throat daily by these people that are using us to make their lives better, and don't give a crap really if your life is any good, because if you make a stink, well, you're expendable, and there's plenty more suckers like you. But, the suckers, I think, are starting to wake up to the fact that, hey, wait a minute, you're just using us for everything, and you have no intention of, following through on anything that you said, and promises that you have made, are not true. I'm hoping we can take a lot of abuse, a lot of us. We can take a lot, we can stand a lot, and we're strong, but I think it's a waste of our strength to be fighting against each other. And if things were to even out, and we had more equality, or more understanding for the people that don't have, the not-haves, the have-nots, the not-haves. Well, anyway, compassion, man. We need it, and we need to be able to have some, also for these people that seem to think that they're the betters over others. They're to think that they have something genetically over other people. That's a fallacy. That's your dream world. You get poor, you find you're just as bad as you thought these other people were, and then you realize, wait, this isn't bad. What have I been doing to people? What have I played a hand in? I've played a hand in causing misery for people, and boy, this is a time, like, either you're going to be miserable or you're going to be compassionate. I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention, if you gave it. And, thank you and good night.